Hey, welcome back. Today we're taking another look at the worm bin. And, excuse me while I grab this. Let's start by harvesting some castings. Let's pull this off. You can see we have a lot of fresh castings right on the top. I'm gonna see if I can't skim a few of those off and add them in. Look at how nice these look. You can see all the little individual worm castings. Each one of these has gone through a worm, so I'm going to go ahead and gather those up. Just skimming off the top a little bit. And then over here on the right, I was gathering a few throughout the week to use in the garden. But there's a good amount of fresh stuff over here with hardly any worms because I never feed all the way over onto the right. So the worms don't really like to hang out there that much, so I can take a good amount out and not get very many of my worms. So that's perfect. Now I got a full bucket here of castings ready for the garden. All right, I always feed over here, so I'm going to start by fluffing it up and making sure I get plenty of air around everything. So I'm going to start over here on the right with the finished castings. This is where I just harvested. Oh, I was trying to escape there. How do you get way up there? Yeah, you can see near the bottom there's a few more worms. So I'm going to go and fluff this up, make sure I get plenty of oxygen all the way down to the bottom of my worm bin. You can see there's a little bit of pit or just avocado. It's not all the way done. If I find any food scraps that need a little bit more work, I throw it over. Back all the way to the left side. I just want to make sure we're not growing any anaerobic, that means without oxygen, bacteria, because that's the stuff that smells like a sewer. So keep the oxygen in here, keep the bacteria that breathes oxygen nice and happy, keep my worms happy. That's the plan. All right, so I got a good amount of my finished stuff out, so there's not nearly as much left. So when I go down here, there's just a lot of worms in here because there's just not as much stuff for them to live in because I keep taking it out. So you can see here there's some worms, but there's also still a good amount of the cardboard in here left. So I'm going to leave them a while longer for them to go and break all this down because they will. Oh, they love the, if I give them a little bit of rotten avocado, they love hanging out in there. So I'm going to put that over to the side. The rest of it kind of goes into the middle. This is what's no large food chunks, but could still use a little bit more work. That sort of is what the middle looks like. Yeah, there's not a lot of space left for them. So there's just a lot of work. Like this bin is not an insignificant amount, just worm. So when I pull it up, I see a lot of worms. All right. Lastly, let's take a look at where we fed them 2 weeks ago. So if I pull that up, what does that look like? Ooh, there's a good amount of worm there too. But here there's a little bit more. I'm not seeing much food, so yeah, let's absolutely give them plenty to eat today. Plenty of cardboard too. The cardboard's great. It's not their preferred food source, but it's a nice place for them to live in, and in a pinch, it's a great backup food source. So having plenty of cardboard in your bin is I use shredded cardboard is always a good thing. I always have more boxes from Amazon or whatnot, then I can deal with. So it's always a great little extra we can add in. All right. So that's everything all fluffed up. I saw like a couple of like hard things to eat, like a banana stem and an avocado skin and an avocado pit. But other than that, I saw a whole lot of worms and no food. So we're gonna feed them everything we got. We're not gonna feel bad about it. All right, so let's start with some shredded cardboard. We're just gonna put in a good amount of that. Whoop. Bump that a little bit. Sorry about that. I'm going to mix in some of the existing worm castings just to get all the bacteria in there and start breaking things down. Then I'm going to add in the Weeks coffee grounds. They get through this a lot easier if I break it up. So I'm going to break up all my pucks. Next comes in the eggshell. Still looking for a good secondhand coffee grinder to get these up a little bit finer. I think some of these don't always get quite fine enough for a worm to break down. So we're gonna try and get that a little bit better. And then food scraps. We got a little bit of cabbage, some banana skins, a few other things from the week. I'm gonna mix these in with the cardboard just so that the worms can get in and around and access them really easy. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit more cardboard too. There we go. So now we have plenty of food, plenty of living space because they seemed a little jam-packed in there. So give them plenty of space to hang out. And then lastly, I'm gonna take some of the older stuff and cover it up just so that the worms can get there a little easier. And this also makes it so that the finished stuff off to the right dries out a little bit faster. That way they leave it. So it's got two reasons for doing this. And then very last thing, always last step, is I take the cover. This keeps the moisture locked in here, but not over here. So the finished stuff dries out, so it's easier to harvest. And it also keeps the moisture from spreading around inside the bin, because if the whole bin is moist, they'll be like crawling up the sides, and I want to avoid that. So last things last, we tuck them in, and then we'll check on them again in 2 weeks.